at the heart of many Nigerians. Did you also know that Nigerian Army at 161, right? That's what it is. Yeah, Nigerian Army at 161st anniversary right there. Kudos to the Nigerian Army. We should give them. That's right. Yes, that was yesterday. Indeed, they had their 161st anniversary on July 1st of 2024, and that also reaffirmed, commitment to ending insurgency and ensuring peace in the northeast region, right? And on the same day, however, the Northern Senators Forum had condemned the recent Borno State bombings carried out by Boko Haram, which resulted in the deaths of 18 children, pregnant women, men, and others. And these events also go further to highlight the ongoing struggle against terrorism and the need for a comprehensive approach to addressing this crisis. Now, we aim to look into, this conversation, create an overview of the situation, right? Explore some of the timelines, and then look at statistics where necessary, and of course, look at some of the critical concerns that follow suit while incorporating additional research and some other, acknowledgement of relevant sources and all of that. That's what we hope to look at as we look at a topical issue: Nigerian Army at 161 and the unending Boko Haram menace. At some point, yes, you and I thought that the whole suicide bombing, situation was already a thing of the past, only for it recently to rear its ugly head, and Nigerians already talking and saying, okay, this is unbecoming, this is not something we want to hear or see, not at a time like this when humans becoming the armory in itself, right, and should be dreaded. Now, it's beginning to come to that point where it's beginning to raise some concerns of should we be afraid of the person next to us? Remember what happened in Yanya sometime many years ago. Would it be under the Good Luck administration now, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, the bomb blast and everything that went down, and to begin to see suicide bombers again, right? It's really not something the Nigerians are welcoming at a point and at a time like this. June 29 of 2024, Boko Haram carried out suicide bombings in Goza, Borno State, and killing 18 children, pregnant women, men, and others, right? And July 1st of 2024, of course, the Nigerian Army marked its 161st anniversary, and it went not without a reaffirming of their commitment to the Northern Senators Forum condemned the recent Borno State bombings, right? And they were also about, the fact that there is some positivity and positivism in the fact that Nigeria security, apparatus would get better, and that we would be able to weather the storm. But are we going to indeed be able to weather the storm in this time? Well, yes, we must also give it to the security agencies, talking about the police, the customs. They've been doing some very great work in the sense of seizing ammunitions and, of course, foiling kidnap attacks and all of that. Yeah, we must also give it to them a thumbs up. It has not been an easy stride. Going face to face headlong with danger just because you've signed off, your life, your solidarity in solemnity, saying that, look, I have to be the protector of my people. I have to stand there. When I wear this uniform, it means that I'm not just an ordinary citizen at this point. I'm a soldier. I'm a fighter. I'm a defender of the peace. So we should give it to them, right? And many of them risk their lives. And then it has also brought about the issue of what is then there? What is then there after everything, after serving, after doing all that you've done to protect the sanity of our dear country? What is the lot of such a person? What becomes of him? And yes, that is what has been driving the conversation over time with the NSAS protest at the time, which also wanted to look into the welfareism of the Nigeria police force, as well as every other architecture that's been put in place to ensure that there is some service to humanity, the protection of lives and property. And up until today, we're still talking about welfareism for the security apartheid, the soldiers, the Nigerian police, the customs, the paramilitary, and all of that, yes, it's still a conversation in discourse right now. Some of the major players and their status, talking about Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum and Senate Committee on Army, and of course Dr. Bakindo M. Saidu, DG Borno Sema, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, President of Nigeria, and Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff. Now, let's look at some of the critical concerns as we look at that topical issue which borders on the Nigerian Army at 161 and the unending Boko Haram menace. Charlotte, we also bring it to you that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And yes, we've also seen how the Kenyans had reacted to the injustice that has been meted out to them at the time. Where, of course, taxation had said, okay, I'm rescinding this particular bill. I'm not going to go through with it and all of that. The people are still staging the protest right there and saying, you know what, we need you to resign. Enough is enough. We cannot take this anymore and all of that. But then, what can we say? What can we say? Could it be about the fact that we have not been able to be very, very strong and very, very strong-willed with handling the issues of insecurity as we face it? Could it be that we are not making the policies, the right policies that should indeed address these issues and curb it or nip it in the bud? Could it be that we have not paid attention to the sensuality and the importance of a life, a Nigerian life? Could it be that we're just missing out on the very salient opportunities of learning from the Western world, the international community, as to how to navigate through these processes? Is it that the insecurity that we face is being piloted by a couple of few persons who are indeed impoverishing Nigerians, but then, of course, getting the credit alert in the respective accounts? Could it also be that there is an international force that is benefiting from Nigeria's woes in terms of the insecurity that we face? Could it be the major big players that are out there that we do not know, and they seemingly are unmaxed, but they are maxed to you and I, and we do not know them? And that is what has been brought the question of who are the sponsors. I hear us every time we keep talking about that. Who are the sponsors of these heinous crimes? Who are the sponsors of these elements who are indeed taking it upon themselves to destroy the image of Nigeria, and not just the image of Nigeria, the peoples, the good peoples of Nigeria? And this is what is bringing the big questions right about there. I see the phone lines buzzing, but first off, let me also introduce my guest, who is in the person of Comrade Gerald Okachi, right? He is a national coordinator, right? A national coordinator initiative against human rights abuse and torture, and he's also a human rights activist, is a public affairs commentator, and he's going to be joining us via phone call at this point in time because he's a social analyst as well, and we will engage that conversation. Hello and good morning to you, Comrade Gerald Okachi. Welcome aboard to Eagle's New Outlook.
Oh yes, a very good morning to you and to our beloved people, and congratulations to the Nigerian Army for this celebration of 161st anniversary.
Exactly. Congratulations on board right there. I mean, Comrade Okachi, when we look at, again, something that we thought we had forgotten, what then does it pertain to Nigerians? Because Nigerians are beginning to say, should we be afraid of the next person walking, just by our side? Because we do not know who this person is. Could it be that this person is wired? Should it foment fears in our hearts? Or what comes to mind? I mean, in this very ridiculous situation that has come again, even though the Nigerian Army has said that, charged its members and personnel, saying that, look, we have to take this war to them, we have to make sure that we stand our ground and all of that, but are we indeed making progress with a spate of things?
Oh yes, you see, the Nigerian Army has been engaged in a prolonged battle against the Boko Haram insurgents since 2009, and the Boko Haram insurgents can say they are extremist militant groups aimed to establish an Islamic state in Nigeria, and has been responsible for numerous attacks including bombings, assassinations, abductions, leading to significant loss of life, and displacement of people. The Nigerian government, with support from the neighboring countries and international partners, continues to deploy military operations to counter these attacks and restore stability in the affected those that this menace that is beginning us as a nation. We need to tackle it, and we need to come together as a people. But thank God, the current service chiefs, I give them thumbs up, unlike the previous ones that take time to respond to issues. These ones are very, very responsive with regards to checkmating and putting in check all these attacks.
All right, very well. They're very strong. They're very forthwith when it comes to some of these issues. Well, there are some very salient human angle questions. The fear and displacement faced by communities under attack. We've seen, in recent times, where quite a number of communities have been sacked off their respective places of abode and all of that, seeking shelter in neighboring communities or even far off or farther from their communities and all of that. But then what strategies do you think can be employed to effectively combat Boko Haram and terrorism, as one who is a strong voice, in this capacity that you are, and how can security measures be improved to, prevent future attacks from your point of view?
I think one of the best way we can really put in check or possibly put an end to this menace is what I see this government is trying to do, and the people have been advocating for, which is restructuring, constitutional amendments, giving states more power. That is state policing. This will put in checks to all of this. When you give these subnationals like states the prosecutorial powers to possible arrest, prosecute terrorists and others, it will possible reduce. But nevertheless, there's no nation that will cede his entire authority or power to subnationals, because everything that has advantage also have a disadvantage.
Right.
But I think the best way we can possibly handle this is state policing. State policing will help to put in check all of this, because it's hard for one of the challenges we are facing in tackling this criminality or terrorism is that you want somebody from the south to the north to go and fight environment he doesn't know the terrain very well. Do you understand? But state policing will give to indigenous people, within that locality, to man the security of that area.
Okay.
And then giving a very big call it the president can even consider signing some of these orders, that any kingdom, as we have monarchs, that allows penetration of this terrorist should be dethroned. If you look in that direction and give a very stern warning and give a good collaboration with the service chiefs, if your region where you are giving international relations, people believe allegedly that some of our friends in international community are sponsoring this just to, in order to have their way in illegally mining some of our natural resources. We look at those relationships and see how you can put it in check. If there's any truth in it, any country farm, no matter how strong and powerful the country is, should be met with a very strong and decisive response.
But we
shouldn't be something that we handle with a proof.
We had the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming out, strong-willed and saying that I think it was an international conference, but maybe something that had to do with ECOWAS. If I'll try to get the correct details on that one. But he said that the two issues that face Nigeria is illegal mining, which he called on one side, and the other side he said international cash. That is what he said. Of course, it only alludes to the fact that there might be some international connection to some of the issues that we face in terms of insecurity right here. Some international, community may be having some interest in Nigeria's woes. Just recently, we had what was was that case again now? Something that appeared on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. Okay, when I wrap my head around it, I'll get it to you. Newspapers. Okay, when I wrap my head around it, I'll get it to you. But I mean, that is the place where we are. Okay, I remember now. Now the point is, the customs intercepted a truckload or truckloads of weaponry from Turkey. From Turkey. That is what's going on. All the
less with regards to the distinguished senator, and we have been advocating for that. If you watch recently, in fact, from the 1970s down, they have continued to weaken the Nigerian police force with duplication of agencies that do similar or exactly what they are doing. They created zero safety out of Nigerian police. They created the civil defense out of Nigerian police. Even the VIO, I think, is from the same police. And now there's a report of attempt to create traffic warders out of police. And then you see peace corps. So you see duplication of duties. And then not funding them well enough. You see some of these agencies that they have created out of the Nigerian police force. If you go to the agency, you see that some of their personnel ain't even more than Nigerian police force. Because you judge by their dressing, you judge by their conduct, you judge by their activities of engagement. You understand? You see that they appear to earn more than the Nigerian police force. You go to have any meeting or intervention with them, you see the way they approach you, because it's only Nigerian police force among all the security agencies that you go today to report a case. They will tell they don't have statement sheets. You will need to, the one they have is almost finished. You need to photocopy, you need to pay for, or things like that. And some IPOs, when they assign them cases, they use their personal money to produce these things. So it's very, very appalling. They are set to not even to succeed, because there are a lot of bottlenecks that they face through to do investigation, to even carry out their duties. It's very, very important. There are a lot of cases we have at the Nigerian police for that, and we are facing a lot of challenges. Some are in the force CID, some are in the AIG, some are in the command here in FCT. You understand? You have to fund for some of these cases to be investigated for. If you don't fund, they get frustration. Now, talking about what our president said with regards to the Turkey, those cashmeats that customs intercepted. Honestly speaking, I have expected that by now our foreign affairs or even the presidency or NSA, supposed to summon the ambassador of the Turkey, make it a public thing. It's not something that you do private. Summon them, let them tell us what they know about this. Because that thing left their country to this place. It departed from their country to this place. Who is involved? Thorough investigation should be, carried out. And because we are not making all these things public, for example, a custom have done their due diligence and we have given them a thumbs up. What next? That's the case.
That's the question.
What else you don't know?
What next?
You understand? If all these things are being thoroughly put in check and used as make it in a public way that it will serve as a deterrent to others who may want to follow such route, it will put in check all of this. But at the end of the day, they have put it in the public. There will maybe you will see another plea bargaining by the corner, or who will frustrate the matter. They may be serious for 1 month before the file will be missing, case file will be missing, stories will enter. You understand? If there are consequences for bad behavior, thorough consequences for bad behavior, some of the things we experience today will not be experiencing it. But because when they do these things, they will know who wants to destroy their region.
All right, let's put a picture.
You accommodate gun running, terrorism, sponsoring evil. You see how it will destroy your region. You understand? It will not be that you commit evil in your own area, you go to another area, bring somebody to come and tackle it. Who doesn't know the terrain, the culture, the ways of life in that area, and we dabble into it and we'll be struggling. These are some of the challenges we are facing. Then you talk about the welfare. People who have died in the fight against terrorism, especially against Boko Haram, how far have they been taken care of? The ones that have been permanently disfigured or injured, how far have they been taken care of? The families of fallen soldiers, gallant soldiers, how far have they been taken care of? You understand? These are some of the issues. The community that have been displaced misplaced. How far they be taken care of? We shouldn't be hearing the news that maybe a terrorist was pardoned, rehabilitated, reintegrated, and possibly put into any of our forces. It doesn't occur well. You are rehabilitating an evildoer. Whereas the people that are displaced are struggling to even feed. They are struggling to even recover from the traumatic experience they have faced. They are struggling to even go back to their ancestral land. And you are saying that you are integrating, rehabilitating, and all they normally used to confuse even the learned. You understand? This is part of the things we are saying. If you get a terrorist, we have laws that make it a capital offense. Extract information you need from that terrorist, and clear it out of the way. Send the person if you want to go wherever he wants to go, maybe whatever they have put in their head, believing that's the way it is. Send them easily.
All right,
keeping them and saying we are rehabilitating and maybe we are brainwashed and so on and so forth.
Let's put it back to your thoughts right there. Let's go pay some bills. We'll be right back in a short bit. This is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, where we give you an audiovisual radio experience that you can count on anytime of day and any day. Get across social media platforms right there. You will find us at Eagles FM Abuja, whether on YouTube, X, Twitter, Facebook. We are there, TikTok and Instagram. Get on there, show us some love. We will be right back. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Divine heaven of blessing minister posing that side by side with the unending Boko Haram menace. And as you and I know, there's been that bombing right there in Borno State, and quite a number of mouths are waggling and talking about this. And one of the biggest concerns will be whether or not this issue of suicide bombing is heard from the military, the joint military right there, saying that look, they've been decimated, they've been taken out totally, they've been weakened and all of that, only for us to begin to see banditry, kidnapping here and there and all of that, seemingly still in vogue, still fashionable, and that's really bringing some concerns. But whether or not that may be a concern, let me give you something, that is very, very important. Now, a study by the International Center for Conflict and Security, that is the ICCS, have noted that prolonged political crisis can lead to increased violence and instability. Well, you want to add your voice in the discourse, 0907-353-0044 is that number to call. The other number would be 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. I would admonish for us to just send a WhatsApp message rather than a voice note. Alright, so just do the WhatsApp message, do the text message, that would do, or better still, call the studio numbers and let's engage more in the conversation. Still have our guest in the person of Comrade Gerald Kachi right there, who has been doing his bid to looking at the conversational angle to this conversation. And yes, it is also very noteworthy to state that according to the Nigerian Institute of Political Affairs, that is the NIPA, political crisis in Nigeria often have economic and social consequences. And Nigerians are saying that with the military, rather the Nigerian Army celebrating the 161st, anniversary right there, should come, some necessary change, maybe a plan, a strategy. If you also recall that sometime, would it be when now? There was a time passed when we had, the senators, the northern senators coming together and urging for, the security issues in the north and all of that. And is it now becoming a rhetoric as it stands? Because every time when these issues happen, we hear maybe a kidnapping going on, massive kidnapping going on within the northern region, or there is cases like the suicide bombing, or do a press release, or we're not cool about this, the president should do something, there is need for collaboration. They speak all of the beautiful English right there, and the question again is, after speaking such English, what is next? Is it still the same narrative, or are we saying that
some of these security?
So let's hear
And
it.
I believe the issue of restructuring will possibly in a way have some of this. That is the reason why we have been advocating that those what do you call it? Advocating that the restructuring and let me call you back 1 minute.
All right, we'll get back with our guest right there and have that conversation. Well, then, this would be the time for you to also engage, and let's see how we can really take ourselves out of the woods, because for some of us, we are tired of the narrative, and I'm sure that you are tired of that narrative too. Every now and then, we keep talking about, indeed, a menace that is rocking the society. Giving you the numbers just once again, and yes, if you are a new caller, we would indeed be glad to hear your voice on this one. 0907-353-0044 is that number to call. The other number would be 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. There is also the need for improved security measures and swift response, as the question still remains. The trauma and grief experienced by victims' family is a strong concern. Then how can security measures be improved to prevent future attacks, right? One thing we keep saying, that look, we must not be reactionary, but we're the ugly head, right? And that is one thing that security agencies are known for. It is a place of being proactive rather than reactionary, right? And then what support systems are in place for victims' families, affected communities, right, is another thing to talk about. What next? I mean, after these victims have been displaced and all of that, and then there are makeshift, homes that have been put for them, IDPs and all of that. We've still seen cases of IDPs being raided, and it really calls for concern. Take this call, all right? That is a miss. Give the calls coming through. 0908-766-8888. That number to call. The other number, 0907-353-00. Some of these issues prevalent in our societies. And then the place of leadership. Leadership is a very, very important angle to this conversation, and the place of governance in addressing the crisis, as the expectations and demands of citizens for an effective governance and security. Now, based on the Constitution, it is our rights. It is your right. It is my rights for us to indeed have security. It's your right to be secure. It's my right to be secure. It's our constitutional right, right? And if the government or those in place of agency failed in this, in providing this, then it means they failed. There's no point, beating about the bush on this one. But let's hear from you. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, Udot.
Good morning to you. All right, Alameen, welcome aboard. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
The issue of national security, it's a collective one. There is no nation in the world that is not security challenged. And like I always say, that globalization has reduced every nation of the world. So every nation of the world rely on multilateral, bilateral collaboration. Most importantly, they indigenize security. I mean, they make the people, the citizens, stakeholders. But Nigeria, the reverse is the case. The Nigerians, they have this illusion. They have this illusion that the moment you elect somebody into office, then the person 100% bears the brunt of governance securing your rights, no matter the level of your ignorance and shenanigans and irresponsibility as a citizen. You want to now push it on, on the elected officers, and then the total, what is about the elected office in Nigeria? I thought to be corrected, I think about 14,000 or thereabouts, over 200 million. So what I'm saying basically with all of this technology is that until we understand the dynamic in nation building, I was going through, the United States Homeland Security report. 43,000 people died due to the gun violence in the US in 2023. In Burkina Faso, there's somebody saying Burkina Faso has what's the word you usually use?
Yeah, I mean, for want of time, yeah, so that we don't go too far.
4,000 people to insecurity in just 3 months. February, March, and April. In Nigeria, we have despite the multitude, war we are fighting. We are at war. We are war with Badi, Boko Haram, insurgent, IPOP terrorists. We are not recording even half of that. But people still want to make us believe that Nigeria is the worst nation, the most insecure. That is not the case. When we say ourselves as stakeholder in nation building. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Alamin, right there, giving us thoughts. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, please. Please turn down the volume on your radio set, please.
My name is Engineer Femi.
Sorry?
My name is Engineer Femi.
All right, Engineer Femi, where are you calling from, please?
From Guarimpa.
All right, Engineer Femi, let's get into it.
Are we playing football match and then are we comparing who served the most goals to qualify? Do we understand the sensitivity behind people's life and the value of life? Do we really understand this? Are people dying from head-on crashes in any part of the world, not just Africa? India has millions, they are number one in cow prevention. You will not hear 2 people have died in more than 20 years as a result of clash between people breeding the cows. And when people sit down and begin to give us things that don't make sense, you begin to wonder, do they live in alternative reality? Oh, because people did not die in Burkina Faso, people died here. Hello? The gun violence in US, everybody is entitled to gun, AK-47. You get angry, you release your gun and shoot. That's the problem. We don't have guns. You will hear people sponsoring Boko Haram. 7 of them, their names for over 8 years, having they were jailed in UAE. They told us their names and their faces and released it to the government. Have you seen them in court for 1 second? Do we even know what they look like? And then we're talking about when Burkina Faso did one thing. Hello? They try to make about $9.6 billion annually from the cow and the dairy products they supply to European countries. How much does our unhealthy cow give us in any part of Nigeria? They don't give us $1 in our national income. And then we're talking about Boko Haram. What is Boko Haram? We create space for Amajiri when they are small. They beg up and down the place. Jonathan tries to solve it by creating schools for them to go to educated and have a better livelihood. What did he do? Other than that, fight back and they say no, it doesn't make sense. After 2-3 days of sitting down, what has happened? Guns has continued.
Right.
And then they see this guy claiming, even carrying baby behind their back, had bombs that she wanted to detonate as well. And then we sit back and we keep complaining, no, what are we doing?
Right, Engineer, for one
and
time.
We know the impact of this thing, because as it affects the country.
Right.
And all we're making, we're complaining ourselves, there are what basis at this comparison. Do you know how much billions we have spent when our military and our commission of police in this area should be called in for questioning? What are we securing when people are dying?
All right, Engineer Femi, your point has been made clear, but you didn't quite give us a cap to it. What do you think could have been done just in 1 sentence or 2?
Alright, my brother.
Alright, well, right, anyways, understood. Engineer Femi right there giving us thoughts, saying it's quite ridiculous, and he has really rolled out quite a number of concerns, from his endpoint right there. Getting back to you, Comrade Gerald, I mean, discourse is what it is, and we're beginning to wake up to the call and saying that, look, have we indeed taken seriously into account the fact that the people dying in the process of all of these insecurity, we're not even in a football match. This is not a football match. It's not a contest right there. Have we put value to humanity, especially within the Nigerian system? What would be your thoughts on all of these?
Well, I will say that aside some of the political crisis. By the way, where I am currently at Wuse High Court, as it's raining cars and all, and there were a lot of lightning. That's where I parked. So that's why I have to go through that because it's affected the high tension. So he wanted to about that.
Yeah,
so I have to go. So that's from that. I think some of the things that increase these insecurity or cause agitations is inequality. You know, you can imagine the situation we find ourselves today where some persons will be earning over 20-24 million each, or if you put together all their earnings, you know, and ones that are earning 30,000 naira as minimum wage are being asked to sacrifice, tighten up their belts, you know, continue to give and so on and so forth. I think all of this should be looked holistically. If we can begin to see how we can unbundle these efforts the government of almost every regime makes with regards to, you know, continue to give to the rich and continue to take from the poor, some of these agitations will stop. If you make it compulsory that every Nigerian child must go to school, no matter whatever the religion or culture or tradition you believe or you belong to, a Nigerian child must be in school, not be in the bush, rearing cow or doing farm, not taking place, going about to every street begging for of our money, not, you know, hawking for whoever they want to. If you make it compulsory that every Nigerian child must be in school, it's compulsory and it must be free, some of these agitations will reduce. If you make it affordable that every sick person in Nigeria will have access to good facility, to good health care, attention, some of these things will reduce. If we begin to see that, ensure that justice is there, especially whenever we see injustice being meted at any point, irrespective of where the person comes from, irrespective of what the person believes, and we ensure justice is done, some of these agitations are also will reduce. If we begin to see ourselves that we do maths before we belong to any tribe or culture, some of these things will stop, because there will be a amendment. You understand? It's not something that does make a first amendment. Once we begin to see ourselves as human, and then ensure that our love work, ensure that whatever we agree together as our constitution, we allow it to work. So this is will reduce. Ensure there's complete independence with regards to other arms of government without one trying to absorb another or twisting another to fit one thing. Some of this is to be reduced. As of today, we see the current administration we have. It's supposed to have 8 years of government, military arms of government. I mean, here you have the legislature and the executive, and you must be on the same page on everything. The terms of check and balances are no longer there, and the people, when they perceive maybe what they want is not being done, those that are supposed to speak for them, are supposed to be their voice to present their presentation, are not carrying out that pressure as expected. Agitation for insecurity will rise. You look at what is happening in Kenya. It's as a result of that. When the ruling class are not really close to the people they are living, and of course, feeling whatever cause they are feeling. Some of this is right. Yeah. If we just see humans first, and some of this is.
All right, let's just take a couple of messages. I'm via the WhatsApp portal right about now. I see this one. It says, I'm listening from Nasarawa State. It's a pity that some people in the north who have refused to do the needful as regards fighting Boko Haram and criminals coming out to condemn Boko Haram attack in Borno State. Many people in the north have sympathy for Boko Haram. Only if the north decides Boko Haram will end, those are their children's sons and daughters. Believe some people in Nigeria are above the law. Even if you get the people who brought in those weapons and are backed by powerful politicians, nothing will happen. Take and you've got that one to say. And to look at this one right here, it says suicide bombing linked to Boko Haram, detonated bomb in Borno killing wedding guest. The grievances of Boko Haram and bandits are not known. Rather, they camouflage under the guise of Islamic fundamentalism to perpetrate their atrocities. I believe in the suspicion that these terrorists are operational arm of intelligence bodies of powerful foreign countries created to curtail the dominance of Nigeria in Africa. Nigeria can feed the whole Africa, but this will not happen if farmers are being massacred by these terrorists. Nigeria's self-sufficiency in food production is being sabotaged by these terrorists. Funds that ought to be used for developmental projects are being diverted to fight faceless terrorists. Lives are lost on a daily basis. I advise the governments to think outside the box if we are to end the menace of Boko Haram and banditry in Nigeria. And to this one right is coming from Yusuf, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Yusuf from Nisei to Abuja. Thank you, Yusuf. And to this one it says, let me acknowledge and appreciate our gallant servicemen who have been genuinely combating these terrorists and dissidents. The truth is, the insecurity in the northern region was allowed to fester and spread inwards to other parts of the country. It still lingers because it has become a cash cow for some persons powerful enough to decide the leadership of the country. In June 2015, one of the first major decisions taken by the Buhari administration was dismantling of military checkpoints all over the country. That move alone was responsible for the migration and the movement of these terrorist elements as previously restricted to the northeast region into more central areas and subsequent spread to unguarded forest in most states. Bandits are simply the same Boko Haram elements. In 2021, bandits and other terrorists were reported to have occupied most forest reserves in the country. What did the government do about it? Comparing gun violence in the US and deaths here in Nigeria is a mischievous and myopic thought. The US is grappling with gun violence where anyone easily has access to a gun license, right? There's yet another one. Okay,